It is that time of the year again. I'm going to be giving you my Sephora VIB sale recommendations. And I feel like I've been doing a lot of like listing out my favorites kind of videos lately. So I tried to make this not too repetitive. There are going to be some repeats that you will have seen in my March favorites and more recently in my 5 favorite products from 5 of my favorite brands. But I didn't want to try and repeat too much. So anyway, definitely check out those 2 videos. I have a lot of recommendations in there as well, a lot of favorites in there, a lot of things that I would recommend for this sale. And because I just wanted to limit this to like 20 products, I didn't want to be too repetitive. And I did also want to focus this for the season. So a lot of these recommendations are for the spring, summer months, and all the details for the sale will be down below in my description box. So there is like a tiered system for the, Beauty Insider program at Sephora. If you're a Rouge member, you get 20% off. And then there's like 15% off and then maybe 10% off. I think it just starts on April 9th for everyone. But all of that information will be down below in my description box. It's also free to sign up for the Sephora Beauty Insider program. If you haven't already, I'll link that down below as well. But that's it. That's all I wanted to mention before I jumped into my list. And generally I do lists by brand. That seems to be like the best way I can kind of organize my thoughts. But because I'm only doing 20 products, I decided to do it by category basically. And I do have some of the products on my face, so I will do cutaways to me applying as many of the products as possible. So let's go ahead and start with SPF. The Dr. Dennis Gross Lightweight Wrinkle Defense SPF 30. It's an all physical sunscreen. It has zinc oxide in here. And I did mention this in my March favorites because I was just really impressed with how this SPF appeared and wore on my skin. So I do have it on my face today. And when it comes to physical SPFs, especially, there's a white cast that I always feel like I'm looking out for. And then there's also this very kind of greasy appearance to a lot of physical SPFs. And if I'm just gonna hang out at the pool or whatever, I really don't care. But if I am kind of just having a normal day and I'm gonna be wearing the SPF underneath makeup or whatever, I wanna make sure that it doesn't get too greasy, that it doesn't interfere with my foundation or any other makeup that I have on. And I've been testing this out for quite some time now, and I've been wearing it under a lot of different foundations, and it doesn't get like super greasy. There definitely is a little bit of radiance to it, but it's not like it gets like greasier and greasier as the day goes on. It stays very consistent. So I've been really impressed with this. It is oil free, so I do think that helps as well. And because it is a physical sunscreen, there is a little bit of a white cast, but I feel like it dissipates as it sort of kind of sets down on your face. So I like to use like 3 light layers of SPF when I put it on, because you do need like a certain amount to actually get the intensity that it states. So like for SPF 30, you do need a certain amount down. And I know generally I just never put enough down. So I've gotten into the habit of putting like 3 light layers down. So I'll put like 1 layer down, let it set, put another layer down, let it set, and then put another layer down, let it set. And I feel like that is as good as it's going to get for me, at least. So that is the Dr. Dennis Gross Lightweight Wrinkle Defense SPF 30. I really enjoy it. In terms of foundations, I have 3 recommendations. And these recommendations, again, are for the spring, summer, when I really like lighter weight, lighter coverage kind of foundations. I don't know what it is about the spring, summertime. It's just a more casual mood. It's a more like footloose and fancy free kind of mood. And I just don't usually reach for medium to full coverage foundations. Every once in a while, maybe if I feel like I need it or if I'm going out or something, but generally like 95% of the time, I would say it is a lighter texture and a lighter coverage foundation that I reach for. So these 2 I did mention in my favorites, so I'm not going to linger too long, but this is the Givenchy Prism Libre Skin Caring Glow Foundation. And I do have this on in my favorites video, but it has a very nice light coverage. It looks really healthy on the skin. There is like a teensy bit of radiance. I would say it's more of like a luminous kind of glow that you get from the Givenchy, but it's very natural. It's nothing too highlighty or greasy looking or sweaty looking or anything like that. It wears very well. And the shade that I have is 2-N120. And it's a great match for me at the moment. And so I've been loving this. The other one, like I said, I mentioned in my favorites as well, is the NARS Radiant Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. This is not a new foundation, it's just simply new to me, but they did extend their shade range. So I've been using Gotland Light 1.2, and it is a wonderful shade match for me. But this also has an SPF 30, which gives it a little bit of a bump up from this Givenchy. This Givenchy does not have any, or doesn't state to have any SPF in there. So I do like that this has, you know, additional protection from the sun in there, and the texture of this is just a little bit creamier than the Givenchy. So I wanted to mention those two. And then the third one I wanted to mention is one that I probably haven't talked about in a while, but I've definitely talked about in the past. It is one of my favorite like tinted moisturizers with SPFs, and it is what I have on my face today. And that is the La Mer Radiant Skin Tint with SPF 30. So I have it in the shade Light 22. It is a great match for me. And I would say the main difference between this one and the other two is that it's even creamier. It's even a little bit more radiant. I have very dry, sensitive skin, so I really like a very kind of nourishing feeling kind of base product. And that's what this is. It really feels like skincare, while those other two products, you know, just feels like makeup, and it's fine. But this really feels very nourishing to the skin. It's a little bit on the richer side. This is something I would say maybe if you have oily skin in the summertime, maybe something to avoid, or maybe just make sure you set it down with, you know, powder. But for dry skin, and if you really like that kind of like nourished feeling on the skin, I would really recommend this one. It is gorgeous on the skin. It wears very well. I wouldn't say it's long wearing, but I would say for like a 6 to 8 hour wear, it's totally fine. So I really enjoy this La Mer Radiant Skin Tint. Oh, just kidding. I have one more foundation, and that is the Clinique Even Better Clinical Foundation. This does have an SPF 25 in there. So on the rare occasion, I do want a heavier coverage or fuller coverage foundation. I've been loving this Clinique foundation. You guys saw me do a whole foundation wear test of this. I was so impressed. In fact, I went out and got a new shade because the first one I got was too deep for me. So the shade that does work for me is CN28 Ivory. And it's categorized as very fair. So I would say the Clinique shades run deeper than they state, because I wouldn't consider myself very fair. I'm obviously light, but I wouldn't say I'm very fair. But according to Clinique, I am. So just keep that in mind if you are purchasing this online. But anyway, this does have an SPF 25, which I really enjoy. And, you know, yes, I will be gravitating towards the lighter coverage foundations in my collection over the summertime for sure. But when I do want a fuller coverage foundation, I know I'm going to be reaching for this one. It's so beautiful on the skin. The one thing I do want to mention is that this does have salicylic acid in there. I have sensitive skin, so this is not a foundation I would feel comfortable wearing like 2 days in a row. I have worn this foundation now multiple times all day, and my skin is fine. It doesn't react to it. The salicylic acid is not super high on the ingredient list, so I don't think there's a ton of it in here. But I did just want to point that out in case you do have a sensitivity to it. Okay, so those are all of the foundations I wanted to talk about. So the next product I want to talk about is a new powder, and I quickly talked about this in my favorites. So this is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Powder No Powder, and I do have it in the shade 2N. You know, when I first put this on, I thought the shade was maybe just a little bit too warm and a little bit too deep for my skin tone, but the more I use it, the more I feel like it looks okay. Maybe I'm crazy, but I would like to try this in like the one shade lighter, and I think I will be picking this up myself during this sale event. So this powder is a baked gelée powder. You know, I love baked gelée products, especially when it comes to eyeshadows and highlights. I feel like they go on in this very sheer way. When they add like a metallic to a baked gelée, it just looks so like crystalline versus just like super metallic. It just has such a beautiful kind of sheen to it. But when it comes to powders without any sort of sheen or metallic kind of effect in there, what you end up getting is something really kind of blurring and very, very creamy. It just makes your skin look creamy, soft. There's just something really amazing about baked gelée powders. This one, the Chantecaille one, that everyone loves, that perfect blurring finish powder, I think it's called. This one has a very similar effect, and I feel like it does such a good job blurring this area where I have larger pores, a little bit of texture, the whole deal, a lot of shine. It brings down shine a little bit, but it doesn't like mattify too much, as you can tell. It just leaves your skin looking really radiant and really creamy. That's really the like best word I can think of when it comes to these baked gelée powders. There's just such a creamy quality to it, and I bet you can probably see it in the pan, but it's just, ooh, it's so, so good. So just wanted to mention that powder. Of course, I could go on and on about powder, but I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, bronzers. I love bronzers. And I wear it all year round, but I think when it comes to the spring, summertime, I definitely use a little bit more. I will sometimes go from like the light shade that I have to like a medium shade. I will also start to play around with bronzers that are maybe a little bit warmer in tone. I just feel like it becomes a little bit more appropriate in the summer months. So there is one that I have just recently mentioned in my last video, my 5 favorite products from my 5 favorite brands, and that is the Tom Ford Soleil bronzer in Terra. This one is neutral, and I've talked about this a lot lately, so I'm not going to linger too long, but it's a pressed powder formula. It's really, really beautiful. It has, just the right amount of pigmentation, and when you blend it out, it's almost like a powder to cream kind of formula, and it looks like airbrushed on the skin. So I really love that bronzer. But the two that I feel like I'm going to be pulling out a little bit more now that the weather is warmer is the Kosas, the Sun Show, what are these called? The Sun Show like baked bronzers. Anyway, I could not stop talking about last year, and they are a little bit on the warmer side. So I do have light and I do have medium. I have light on today. It's sort of like I kind of start out with light and then I move to medium as the year goes on. So let me just show you medium. So here's light and here is medium. And they both have, or all of the bronzers have, a sheen to them, and they're so beautiful. I mean, I think it looks just so flawless on the skin. And if you do like a little bit of a sheen to your bronzer, oh, you're gonna love this. Absolutely love it. And there is something, I think there's like shea butter in here. So just kind of like the Dior powder, there's a creaminess to this bronzer so that when you apply it and then you blend it out, it just like blends in beautifully and it just becomes seamless, and it looks, just looks really flawless on the skin. So I love these Kosas bronzers, and I'm so excited to be pulling them out again. Not that I didn't wear them in the winter, but I really like to go heavy with this in the summertime. So I'm excited to be pulling those out. And then the other bronzer that I talked a lot about last year as well, this has more of like a peachy undertone, and this is the Clinique Powder Pop Flower Bronzer, and the shade is Solar Pop. This is a baked gelée formula. So it definitely has that kind of creamy appearance. It goes on really smoothly on the skin. It builds up beautifully. And because it is a baked gelée formula, not that it's really difficult to pick up, but I do like to go in with like a denser brush when I'm using this, and the Dior, by the way, I didn't mention it. But for these two like baked gelée products, I do like to go in with a little bit of a denser brush. So that is the Clinique Solar Pop. And I think when this came out last year, I may be remembering this incorrectly, but I thought this was marketed as limited edition, this and the highlight, and they're still around. So maybe they decided not to do that. Maybe they decided to make it part of their regular line. And if they did, if I am remembering correctly, I'm so glad that they did, because this is really, really beautiful. All right, let's talk about blushes. And I use cream blush all the time. Not necessarily for the spring, summer, but there is something about cream blush for the spring, summer that just is so appropriate. So I have 2 to recommend. Neither of these will be a surprise. The first one is the Tower 28 Beach Please. I think these are like lip and cheek balms. Anyway, this is their cream blush, and you can use it on the lips as well. So I have 5 of their colors. So I'm going to swatch all of these for you. So from left to right, we have Rush Hour, Happy Hour, Magic Hour, Power Hour, and After Hours. And there's definitely one, I think there's 6 altogether. So I think there's one that I don't have that I would like to pick up during this sale event. I currently have Rush Hour on my cheeks, and they just go on so beautifully, and they stay pigmented all day. They don't like fade away. I can wear them under powder or over powder. They're just gorgeous, and the shades are absolutely stunning. So big fan of these. As you guys know, I've talked about these for a really long time. And the other cream blushes that I have been loving are the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Sticks. So I have 5 of these also. So let me go ahead and swatch all of these for you. All right, from left to right, we have Minette, Chouchette, Petal, Bichette, and then Poppet. So for the summertime, you know, I would definitely recommend trying maybe some of the punchier ones like Minette or Poppet. Poppet is so beautiful on the cheeks. And in fact, I think I'm gonna layer some just right onto the apples of my cheeks. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit on my fingertip here and then just place it on the apples here. And it just gives, you know, your complexion like instant heat. You just instantly look a little bit more flushed and bright, and I just think it's so youthful looking. So here it is on top of the Tower 28, and here's the Tower 28 by itself. So it just gives it a little bit of pop, and I think you could use this with pretty much any blush that you have. If you just want to add just a little bit more to like the apples of your cheeks, maybe you put on like a strong lip or a strong eye look. I find that when I do that, all of a sudden it looks like I don't have blush on anymore and I just want to add a little bit, and this always comes in handy when that happens. I'll just throw a little bit of this on and it just kind of brings the cheeks back out. So I would say the main difference between the Westman Atelier and the Tower 28, well, there's a few. One is how they're packaged. So it's a stick versus something in a pan. Two, I find the Tower 28 to work really well on the cheeks and the lips because it is a little bit more emollient. The Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Stick, not that they claim that you can put it on your lips, although I'm sure you can, but I don't find them quite as emollient as I would like for the lips. So I do just kind of focus the Westman Atelier cream blushes just on my cheeks. That's it for blushes. Let's go ahead and move on to highlight. And for highlight, I do have a Westman Atelier highlight, and I did just mention this in my favorites, but she expanded her lit up highlight stick range. She used to just have one shade. She added 2, and one of the shades that she added is this Nectar shade, and it is so beautiful. I have it on my cheeks here, just right at the tops of my cheeks. I put some like down the bridge of my nose and just a little bit, you know, by the tops of my eyebrows here. And it's just such a lovely, gorgeous, like juicy kind of highlight. And I really like cream highlights because they're just a little bit more subtle than powder highlights. And I find when I'm using a lot of radiant products, you know, as it is, if I'm using like a more radiant foundation, if I'm using, you know, a cream blush, if I put down maybe a primer with a little bit more radiance, I just don't need that much more highlight going on. So this has been just a really nice complement to all of those kind of more radiant products that I've been gravitating towards now that it's spring, summer. It just has such a subtle kind of like peachy undertone to it that just looks, again, it has like that creaminess kind of appearance to it. So I really love this highlight, and you can use this highlight as a primer. You will look pretty radiant, especially depending on what kind of foundation you put on top. But I have found that if you have a foundation that maybe is just a little bit on the drier side, or if you have dry skin like me and you just need a little bit more help, her lit up highlight sticks are great as primers. Really, really wonderful. Okay, brows. You guys, I have been cheating on my Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel, as you guys know. This is the Merit Brow Pomade. There's a much longer name, but it's their brow pomade, and I do have it in the shade brown. And I love it. I do have it in my brows today, and it is like a lighter version of the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. That I feel like I get a darker, fuller brow. This is, just gives me a little bit. It's a little bit more, it's like a casual version. It's like the younger sister version of the Fiber Brow Gel. And I like that it adds a little bit of pigment. It makes my brows look a little bit fluffier. It tames them just a little bit. And again, it's like the mood that I'm in for the coming season. It's just a little bit more casual. So as you guys know, I've been loving this. I've been talking about this kind of nonstop. So anyway, the Merit Brow Pomade. Next up, let's talk about some eyeshadow. So I've been talking a lot about different eyeshadow palettes that I've been loving, especially in my last video, my 5 products from 5 favorite brands. I'll just link it down below if you're interested in taking a look. But again, I just didn't want to be too repetitive. So I thought I would just talk about one product that I did talk about a lot, like a lot last year. And I'm so glad that this brand is at Sephora, but that's Westman Atelier. I've already been talking about them. But I wanted to talk about their iPods, and I I love both of them. But the Le Jour iPod, the daytime iPod, I cannot get enough of, and I do have it on my lids today. So each iPod set comes with 3 like putty-like eyeshadows. So this one comes with Neige, which is like a crystalline white kind of shade. I don't have this on my eyes today, but I do have the other shades. The next one is Tabac, and that is this like peachy metallic shade. And that's basically what I have down just kind of like all over my lids. I just used her baby blender brush, which is like my favorite brush to use with these, and just slapped it on just like all over my eyelids. And then what I did was I added a little bit of the chocolat to the outer corner of my lids, and this is like a deeper brown. This would also be lovely all over the lids as well. If you want something more evening, a little bit more smoky, this would be great too. So I really enjoy these iPods. Like I said, they have that kind of putty texture, so they're not exactly like a cream shadow, but they're definitely not a powder shadow. They are a true putty, like you could press your finger in there. They pick up really easily. Again, I've just been using her baby blender brush, or I'll just use any other kind of brush that I can use with a cream shadow or a liquid shadow, and they just go on beautifully. Like beautifully. They just blend themselves out. They're gorgeous. I love the texture of them. I find with this putty texture, unlike cream shadows, I don't have to be too careful. Like I just stick my brush in, swirl it around, and then throw it on my lids. Where with creamier shadows, I feel like I have to be kind of careful with how much I pick up, you know, because it's a little bit, the texture's looser and I feel like I'm making a little bit more of a mess. So I really enjoy these iPods. The texture, the shades, just everything about them I love. And the packaging. I mean, how cute is this? They're all magnetized, and they are amazing. So had to mention those. And then let's move on to lips. Again, I feel like I've been talking a lot about different lip products, but I did want to mention 2 that I have not been able to mention in like my favorites. I just felt like my favorites video was so long. But the YSL Rouge Volupte Shine, they expanded the shade range to include these kind of like burnt colors. So I picked up 2, shade number 121 and 123. 121 is a little bit deeper, and it has like a nice kind of like terracotta, but not too orangey kind of tone to it. It's a little bit more of maybe like a cinnamon versus a terracotta. And then 123 is actually what I have on my lips today. And this one has a little bit more of like a metallic sheen to it. And it's really just, I think you can see, it's just balmy and moisturizing, and they're so comfortable on the lips. So really been loving the new shades from YSL, but there is one that was part of their existing line that is definitely coming out for the summertime. And this is number 12. I think it's like a, I don't know, it's like coral something. But this is such a Michele shade, and just absolutely love it. It has that sheer, intensely hydrating, like really balmy feel to it, and just easy to wear. Easy to wear. I can apply it without a mirror. Just love them. Absolutely love these. So those are the Rouge Volupte Shines. And then the other lip product I want you to mention are the Tower 28 lip glosses. So I have so many of these. I love them so much. They kind of have like 2 versions, if you will. So these are the Shine On like lip jellies. And if I had to pick one color to recommend for you guys, it would be, of course, Fire, the orange color. It's just so fun. Like if you're kind of like thinking about doing a coral lip or an orange lip and you feel maybe it's a little intimidating or whatever, this is such a great kind of like gateway, a gateway drug to that, because it's a gloss. And so it's lighter, it's more sheer, but you will get a little bit of a tint of that color. And then this one is Magic. So this has a very kind of translucent appearance to it, and it has like a multi-chrome effect to it. There's like gold sparkles in there. It's really cool. It's great as a lip topper as well. And then this one is XOXO, and this you know, again, it's a gloss, so it goes on a lot more sheer on the lips, but it gives your lips like a little bit of pigment. If you're having one of those days, which I've been having a lot lately, where you wake up and you're kind of tired and you just like your lips look pale, this is great. This is great for that. It just kind of gives them a little bit of life. So those are the jelly lip glosses. And then they came out with these milky lip glosses. And I have 4 of these. So here's some swatches of these 4. So from left to right, we have oat, cashew, almond, and then coconut. And cashew and almond, as you guys can imagine, are the 2 that I reach for the most. These are the 2 like most nude. I do really enjoy oat. Yeah, oat as well, because it has that kind of like milkiness to it, which I like if I'm doing like a stronger eye. The one that I definitely reach for the least, but it's beautiful, I just, you know, I'm not like a pink lip gloss wearer, is coconut. But if you are a pink lip gloss wearer, you're gonna love this. I mean, you're gonna love any of these lip glosses. They just have the best feeling on the lips. They're not sticky at all. They're not oily at all. There's just something really special about these. So I love these Tower 28 lip glosses. Next, I did want to give you one fragrance recommendation, and this is one that I have probably been talking about the most. I mean, ever since before I even started my YouTube channel, I had a blog and I talked about this on my blog, and I've been personally been wearing this fragrance probably for about 20 years. That's the Jo Malone Grapefruit Cologne. I'm wearing it today. I love it. I love it. There's a lot, as you guys know, there's been a lot of perfumes that have entered my life over the past couple of months, ones that I'm really, really enjoying. But this is just such a good old standby. If I just want to smell nice, I'm not in any mood or whatever, I still reach for this grapefruit cologne. It just has a sweet, fruity smell. It's very casual. It's very like going out to brunch, kind of going shopping in the afternoon with your girlfriends. It's just really light and fresh, and I love it. I mean, there's no denying it. Like I said, I've been wearing it forever. It used to be the only perfume that I would buy, wear, even bother with. If my husband didn't know what to get me for my birthday or whatever, he always got me a bottle of Jo Malone Grapefruit. So I just wanted to recommend that one to you guys if you are looking for a different one, or if you've never tried that one, because it's, you know, it's a fragrance that has been around forever. So that would be my fragrance recommendation for this sale. And then I wanted to mention a couple of, well, 3 different mists, because facial mists, I really enjoy them. And, you know, in the warmer months, I love that like refreshing mist. One is the Fresh Vitamin Nectar Antioxidant Glow Water. And it comes in this like aluminum can, which keeps the mist actually kind of cool. So when you spray it on your face, you get this cooling effect, and it's so lovely. And then the sprayer is so fine. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's so fine. Oh, it's the only one I've come across that I feel like really rivals that Glow Recipe Watermelon Mist. I almost called it Watermelon Recipe. Glow Recipe Watermelon Mist. It has a very similar mister to that, and it has like a fresh, fruity kind of scent. So it's just great for summertime. I really love this. And the other mist that I love, where did it go? Oh, here it is the Lila Bee Aglow Face Mist. Now, this one I feel like does a little bit more in terms of skincare when it comes to a mist. This one I feel like is refreshing. I just love spraying it if I feel like my skin is feeling a little bit parched, or if I, you know, maybe spent too much time in the sun. This is just a great like refresher. This Lila Bee one I feel like is more skincare. It is very, very hydrating, and I actually used this when I took a flight to Japan. This was a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago at this point. And I just kind of kept spraying my face with this on the plane, because your skin feels, well, it starts to feel really parched with that recycled air. And this saved my skin. I swear, I know if I did not use this on the flight, my skin would have been completely wrecked after that flight. But this saved it. It has a decent sprayer, you can see. It's stronger than the fresh one, or the Glow Recipe one, but it is still very, very fine. It has a really light, fresh scent, but I feel like this does more than just hydrate my skin. Like, I really feel like I'm moisturizing my skin as well. So this is the one that I go in like all the time. You know, I'm just kind of spraying my face if I'm feeling like a little bit dry. This one is like my special ops kind of face mist. If I feel like my skin needs like special attention, I go in with the Lila Bee. All right, and for my last recommendation, number 20, and I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, is this what I want to recommend? Because I did just talk about this in yesterday's video, but I think it is worth repeating. Yeah, let's go for it. I wanted to mention the Dior Air Flash Radiance Mist. I've been using this a long time, and I think this is my second bottle. Anyway, there's two shades. So I have 001, there is 002. And this is a primer and setting spray. So I don't use this as a primer. I do use it as a setting spray. And, you know, most setting sprays are kind of like, I don't know, like glorified hairsprays, the ones that are like meant to keep your makeup down, like serious ones, like the Scandinavia ones or the Urban Decay all-nighters. Like I always feel like I'm just kind of spraying hairspray all over my face, which is fine if that's what you need. If you need like really, really like locked and loaded makeup, I would reach for that too. But what I like about this setting spray is that it does set my makeup. It definitely helps the longevity of my makeup, probably not as long as something like the Urban Decay all-nighter. But what this has is it's almost like a spray, kind of like powder hybrid. And you can see on the nozzle, I just did this in yesterday's video. Sorry, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there's a little bit of pigment there. And so the 002 shade is a little bit deeper. So it's for, you know, medium to deeper skin tones. And this just kind of like adds like a filter to your skin, along with setting your makeup, along with kind of, it takes the shine down a little bit on your makeup, but not too much. But because it is kind of like a spray powder, it does a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and spray some. And all of a sudden, I hope you guys can see it, but all of a sudden your face looks like it's filtered, and it is magical. It is so, so magical. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. It doesn't feel like you've sprayed hairspray on your face. And this is definitely something I use more in the summertime, again, because, you know, you get sweatier, your makeup starts to like, you know, melt off a little bit more quickly. And this does, again, help with actually setting and helps with the longevity of your makeup. But really the magic is in the finish that you get. Like, I really feel like I just added that Instagram blur filter to my face. So anyway, those are my 20 recommendations for the Sephora VIB sale event. I'll have everything listed down below in my description box. I'll also link to my 2 previous videos if you are interested in taking a look at those for just some more recommendations, like for eyeshadows and stuff, because I know I just talked about the Westman Atelier iPods. But anyway, I hope you guys have fun shopping. I'm definitely going to be posting a shop with me video probably on Thursday because the sale starts on Friday. And the shop with me video, if you guys haven't seen those of mine, I will actually be recording my screen while I'm shopping. And then there will be a little recording of me kind of like reacting to things. I thought that would be fun. And I'll be filling up my cart in that video. So definitely subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.